Hariom. This morning we're going to conclude with a series on the book by Etty Hillesum called The Life Transformed. This book by Patrick Woodhouse, available at Amazon and also continuumbooks.com, which relates to the story of a woman who at the age 25 was taken away from her home and her family, transported to the horror of a concentration camp. But in the midst of that, she left diaries and words of inspiration that even now, over 60 to 70 years later, we find tremendous guidance. For in the concluding chapter of her book, we find that she is not only recounting in her diaries of her episode, but also challenging us who have not undergone what she underwent, but still in some effort, by some means of grace, we can succumb to our own divisive, narrow, and dark outlook on the relationship between man and God, and find some direction which will prove not only the existence of the divine within us, but also show how this manifestation of divine can come about. For we need to listen carefully as she invites us to find a truer and deeper path in our life. So let me read again from the final chapter, and let her words go deep within, that we might find light upon our spiritual path. Particularly, there are 4 areas in which she speaks, in which she guides, in which she hopes that those who follow after, who will find her words applicable to their life, these 4 areas should be attended to. First, she interrupts our skepticism about faith. She invites us to believe again. Second, she interrupts our narrow assumptions about religion itself. Many don't even want to use the word religion in this day, for they find it's limiting and narrow. And she invites us to pray. Third, she interrupts our easy hatred of our enemies and those who bring suffering in our lives. And she invites us to see, to open our eyes. Finally, she interrupts our despair about the future. And she invites us to be courageous. Courageous to step forth and believe in God. Her diary and her letters tell the story of an adventure of discovery. There is an entry in her diary when, impatient with the primitive word God, she gives it a new definition and describes God as our greatest and most continuous inner adventure. You cannot find even a more profound statement in the Vedas or in the depths of the words of Jesus recounted in the Bible, that God is a continuous inner adventure, constantly unfolding, constantly showing us deeper and deeper avenues by which we can relate to God and be touched by God. The energy, dynamism, and direction of this inner adventure, slowly but surely, like a great river, gathers up all that she was, and it transformed her. This young woman took upon herself the extraordinary responsibility of making God credible, even in such a world of darkness as the concentration camps of World War II. She said there must be someone to live through all this, to bear witness to the fact that God lived and is living even in our times. So we find at the very end, she says, the culmination of her understanding that God is not only credible, but God is active and an inner adventure in our lives. She ends by saying this: it is love, love human and divine, which overcomes death in nations and generations and in all the horror of our time. Death is given power over everything finite, especially in our period of history, but death is given no power over love. Love is stronger. It creates something new out of the destruction caused by death. It bears everything and overcomes everything. It is at work where the power of death is strongest, in war and persecution, in homelessness and hunger, and physical death itself. It is omnipresent and here and there, in the smallest and most hidden ways, as in the greatest and most visible ones. It rescues life from death. Love rescues life from death, doubt, ambiguous consideration about God, and therefore laxity and irresponsible spiritual activity. Love reaches us, for love is stronger than death. And finally, a month before she perished in Auschwitz concentration camp in 1942, she said this. Her final entry was, "We should be willing to act as a balm for all wounds." This is very much exactly what the great Swami Shivananda of Rishikesh, the great saint, said, who himself gave everything and found in the midst of horror love and service to God. For before he became a great Swami and a great lover of God and lover of man and server of man and God, he lost his family in a fire, and from that he renounced everything and took the world as his family. And he used to say, the sign of a great yogi, the sign of a great lover of God, of one who truly is in God's favor, is this, that his heart will melt like butter at the sign of anyone's suffering. So we should not only look upon others to help and succor and bring aid to them, but look upon our own spirit within and our own consciousness and see it suffers. This is the first noble truth of the Buddha himself when he said, to begin the spiritual redemption, we must comprehend suffering. We must understand that we do suffer, and therefore, having a beginning, it can come to an end, and the path must be developed to seek its end. Etty found the path in prayer and literally bringing credibility to the name of God and the religion that God created. So therefore, let us go forth and remember the great ones and their words, for it says even in the Bible that God is glorious in his saints. So therefore, let us look upon those who tread the path of service, love, and forbearance, and patient perseverance in all that was brought before them, and in the end, loved God and his creation more. So let us remember the trials and tribulations and horror and even the death of this great one, and the service of those who had the same spirit and love within their heart, and seek to find what they have found. Hari Om.